Dear Heavenly Father, we're so thankful to be here today. We thank you for Jim and the class he teaches, and we just pray that you'll work through him as you have, and we'll continue to learn more of you as we study your word. And Father, today we ask a special blessing on Lori, that you will bless her, that she will feel your spirit and the headaches will leave that she's been having, and that peace and rest will come to her this day. Just pray for a special blessing on her, and also Marilyn James as she struggles with the problems she's had with her hip and her Bell's palsy. We thank you for the rain you've given us, and we thank you for springtime and the flowers and all the beauty that we see springing forth. Please be with us this day, and we ask for your blessings for all those who are here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting the Lord's Spirit to be here. We couldn't do this without him, I don't think. It would be a waste of time. We're starting today with the book of Ether, first chapter, first verse. The Ether is the translation of the 24 plates that were found by a party sent out by King Limhi in the year 121 BC. He sent a party of either 34 or 44 people out. You'll find this in the 5th chapter of the book of Mosiah. He sent a party out to figure out where they were and to find Zarahemla. And the party got lost. But what they did find, we'll just take a look at it here. It's an excellent introduction. It'll be about page 232 on the 1908 version. And we'll start with the 60th verse at the top of the page. And the king said unto him, being grieved for the afflictions of my people, I caused that 43 of my people should take a journey into the wilderness, that thereby they might find the land of Zarahemla, that we might appeal unto our brethren to deliver us out of bondage. And they were lost in the wilderness for the space of many days, yet they were diligent, and they found not the land of Zarahemla, but returned to this land, having traveled in a land among many waters, having discovered a land which was covered with bones of many men, and of beasts, etc., and also was covered with ruins of buildings of every kind, having discovered a land which had been peopled with a people who were as numerous as the hosts of Israel. And for a testimony that the things they have said are true, they have brought 24 plates which are filled with engravings, and they are of pure gold. And behold also, they have brought breastplates which are large, and they are of brass and of copper, and are perfectly sound. And again they have brought swords, the hilts thereof have perished, and the blades thereof were cankered with rust. And there is no one in the land that is able to interpret the language of the engravings on the plates. Therefore I said unto thee, canst thou translate? And I say unto thee again, knowest thou of any one that can translate? For I am desirous that these records should be translated into our language. For perhaps they will give us a knowledge of a remnant of the people who have been destroyed, from whence these records came. Or perhaps they will give us a knowledge of this very people who have been destroyed, and I'm desirous to know the cause of their destruction. And Ammon said unto him, I can assuredly tell thee, O king, of a man that can translate the records, for he has wherewith he can look and translate all records that are of ancient date, and it's a gift from God. And the things that are called interpreters, and no man can look in them except he be commanded, lest he should look for that he ought not, and he should perish. And whosoever is commanded to look in them, the same is called seer. Behold, the king of the people who is in the land of Zarahemla is the man that is commanded to do these things, and who has the high gift from God. And you know who this king was, right? Who? Yes. Who said that? Mosiah. Yeah, King Mosiah. Okay. Now, The records were discovered in 121 BC. We can speculate as to how long it had been since the people had perished, since there were bones still on the ground, there were buildings, and there were swords. And he described the metallurgy a little bit. He said, we found these breastplates and shields, and they were made of copper and brass, and they were perfectly sound. But the swords we found, the hilts were totally disintegrated, and the blades were cankered with rust. And I'm estimating how long it would take for the wood or bone, whatever the hilts were made of, to perish, and for the metal to rust in that to that condition. I lost a pocket knife fishing one time at my parents' pond, and I knew right where I dropped it, and for years, a few short years I guess, I never gave up looking for that knife, and one day I found it, and it had only been there about 2 years, and it was just unsavable. And the handles, the sides of it were gone. It was rusty. It wouldn't open and close. It was just unsavable. And I work with rusty artifacts every day. And there are some that have been protected indoors that are untarnished, and there are some that have been outdoors for 50 years, and they're pretty well shot. Anybody want to speculate as to how long it had been from the time that the Jaredites had perished until the records were discovered? Do we have any indication anywhere else in the Book of Mormon? So, you want to speculate? 50 years, do you suppose? Or do you suppose the swords would have been completely rusted away in 50 years, being exposed to the elements? I guess it's not important. So, let's start with the first verse. I will read for a few verses, and then someone be thinking about taking over. This is Moroni speaking, because Mosiah had abridged these plates about 300 years previous to this time, and now Moroni is telling about his abridgment of these plates. And he abridged the plates around 420 AD, I believe. Now I, Moroni, proceed to give an account of those ancient inhabitants who were destroyed by the hand of the Lord upon the face of this north country. And I take mine account from the 24 plates which were found by the people of Limhi, which is called the Book of Ether. And as I suppose that the first part of this record, which speaks concerning the creation of the world, and also of Adam, and an account from that time even to the great tower, and whatsoever things transpired among the children of men until that time, is had among the Jews. Therefore I do not write the things which transpired from the days of Adam until that time, but they are had upon the plates, and whoso findeth them, the same will have power that he may get the full account. But behold, I give not the full account, but a part of the account I give, from the tower down until they were destroyed. And on this wise do I give the account. He that wrote this record was Ether, and we're going to skip 26 generations, generation to generation, till we get down to Jared. So here's another speculation. There's 26 generations between Ether and Jared, Jared being the oldest, the beginner of this. If we estimate that a generation is approximately 30 years, then this record of the Jaredites, the Book of Ether, covers about 780 years. Does that coincide with any other evidence that we have? Oh, well, okay. Anyway, we've got that covered quickly. Jared came forth with his brother and their families, with some others and their families, from the great tower at the time the Lord confounded the language of the people, and sware in his wrath that they should be scattered upon all the face of the earth. And according to the word of the Lord, the people were scattered. And the brother of Jared, being a large and a mighty man, and being a man highly favored of the Lord, for Jared his brother said unto him, Cry unto the Lord that he will not confound us, that we may not that we may not understand our words. In other words, that he wouldn't make us not understand our words. And it came to pass that the brother of Jared did cry unto the Lord, and the Lord had compassion upon Jared. Therefore he did not confound the language of Jared, and Jared and his brother were not confounded. Then Jared said to his brother, Cry again unto the Lord, that it may be that he will turn away his anger from them who are our friends, that he confound not their language. And it came to pass that the brother of Jared did cry unto the Lord, and the Lord had compassion upon their friends and their families, that they were not confounded. And it came to pass that Jared spake again unto his brother, saying, Go and inquire of the Lord whether he will drive us out of the land. And if he will drive us out of the land, cry unto him whither we should go. And who knoweth but the Lord will carry us forth into a land which is choice above all the earth? And if it so be, let us be faithful unto the Lord, that we may receive it for our inheritance. And it came to pass that the brother of Jared did cry unto the Lord according to that which had been spoken by the mouth of Jared. And it came to pass that the Lord did hear the brother of Jared, and had compassion upon him, and said unto him, Go to, and gather thy flocks, both male and female, of every kind, and also of the seed of the earth of every kind, and thy family, and also Jared thy brother and his family, and also thy friends and their families, and the friends of Jared and their families. And when thou hast done this, thou shalt go at the head of them down into the valley which is northward, and there will I meet thee, and I will go before thee into a land which is choice above all the land of the earth. And there will I bless thee and thy seed, and raise up unto me of thy seed, and of thy seed of thy brother, and they who shall go with thee, a great nation. And there shall be none greater than the nation which I will raise up unto thy seed upon all the face of the earth. And this I will do unto thee, because this long time ye have cried unto me. And it came to pass that Jared and his brother and their families, and also the friends of Jared and his brother and their families, went down into the valley which was northward. And the name of the valley was Nimrod, being called after the mighty hunter, with their flocks which they had gathered together, male and female of every kind. And they did also lay snares and catch fowls of the air, and they did also prepare a vessel in which they did carry with them the fish of the waters. And they did carry also with them Desiree, which by interpretation is a honeybee, and thus did they carry with them swarms of bees, and all manner of that which was upon the face of the land, seeds of every kind. And it came to pass, when they had come down into the valley of Nimrod, the Lord came down and talked with the brother of Jared, and he was in a cloud, and the brother of Jared saw him not. And it came to pass that the Lord commanded them that they should go forth into the wilderness, yea, unto that quarter where never had man been. And it came to pass that the Lord did go before them, and did talk with them as he stood in a cloud, and gave directions whither they should travel. And it came to pass that they did travel in the wilderness, and did build barges, in which they did cross many waters, being directed continually by the hand of the Lord. Barges being distinct from a sailing vessel. So apparently the barges were carried by the direction of the water, and not by the direction of the wind. They probably were not real navigable. Probably had rudders. Possibly had long poles, if they're depending on how deep the water was. If the water was very deep, of course, they would have been just dependent on the current to carry them to their destination. And it came to pass that they did travel in the wilderness, built barges in which they did cross the many waters, being directed continually by the hand of the Lord. And the Lord would not suffer that they should stop beyond the sea in the wilderness, but he would that they should come forth even unto the land of promise, which was choice above all other lands, which the Lord had prepared for a righteous people. Do you have any idea what land that is? What? It sure sounds like it. Now you say the Americas, and so that includes North America, Central America, and South America. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Lyle? Okay. We say the Americas. Okay. And he had sworn in his wrath unto the brother of Jared, that whoso should possess this land of promise from that time henceforth and forever should serve him, the true and only God, or they should be swept off when the fullness of his wrath should come upon them. And now we can behold the decrees of God concerning this land, that it is a land of promise, and whatsoever nation shall possess it shall serve God, or they shall be swept off when the fullness of his wrath shall come upon them. Concerning the Americas, I think we all know this. We're kind of enthralled by this. Was it in Isaiah that the land that would be discovered when the branches grew over the wall of the well was it shaped like a dove, did he say? Shaped like a dove. So, of course, what's that? Shadowing with wings. Yes, that's exactly it. So we're all familiar with that. Okay. It's interesting. And you said the Americas. Well, let's see. Verse 31. Now we can behold the decrees of God concerning this land, that it is a land of promise, and whatsoever nation shall possess it shall serve God, or they shall be swept off. And the fullness of his wrath cometh upon them when they are ripened in iniquity. For behold, this is a land which is choice above all other lands. Wherefore he that doth possess it shall serve God, or shall be swept off, for it is the everlasting decree of God. Now, he's mentioned that 3 times. It's the everlasting decree of God. You can be sure of that. You can be pretty sure of what's coming on this land. And it is not until the fullness of iniquity among the children of the land that they are swept off. And this cometh unto you, O ye Gentiles, that ye may know the decrees of God, that ye may repent, and not continue in your iniquities until the fullness come, that ye may not bring down the fullness of the wrath of God upon you, as the inhabitants of the land hitherto have done. Behold, this is a choice land, and whatsoever nation shall possess it shall be free from bondage, and from captivity, and from all other nations under heaven. And if they will but serve the God of the land, who is Jesus Christ, who hath been manifested by the things which we have written. And now behold, and now I proceed with my record. And behold, it came to pass that the Lord did bring Jared and his brethren forth, even unto that great sea which divideth the lands. And as they came to the sea, they pitched their tents, and they called the name of the place Moriancumer. And they dwelled in tents upon the seashore for the space of 4 years. Now, if anybody has any comments as we go along, raise your hand. Yes, please.
Where it says here that in 37, and as they came to the sea, they pitched their tents and they called the name of the place Moriancumer. What? Where's your microphone? Sorry. In 37 it says, and then they came to the sea, they pitched their tents, and they called the name of the place Moriancumer, and they dwelt in tents. Now, it was typical of the Nephites to name their lands after people that were famous, like Lehi Nephi, it tells us in there. So we come to the name, and it's just interesting, and it's something I learned my whole life, and then I did find it after my new life, and it says in the place of Moriancumer. Now, the brother of Jared is only named as the brother of Jared. And Joseph Smith revealed in the Times and Seasons that the brother of Jared's name is Mahonri Moriancumer. So it says that it's Moriancumer, so they're named it after him. And a lot of people don't know that, but it is found, and it's established in the Times and Seasons.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
So it's Mahonri Moriancumer.
How do you spell the first part of it?
Oh my gosh, I don't
never
remember.
mind, okay.
But can you imagine having to write that all the time? So Ether just wrote the brother of Jared, because it was easier.
Yeah,
But he gave us a hint right there.
how interesting. That's fascinating. Now, when someone wants to read, when someone wants to pick up at any point, raise your hand. And is Linda. We're going to start with the 38th verse. And read as the Lord directs you to.
At the end of 4 years, the Lord came again to the brother of Jared and stood in a cloud and talked with him. For the space of 3 hours, the Lord talked with the brother of Jared and chastened him because he remembered not to call upon the name of the Lord. And the brother of Jared repented and the evil which he had done, and called upon the Lord, name of the Lord, for his brethren who were with him. And the Lord said to him, I will forgive thee and thy brethren of their sins, but thou shalt not sin any more. For ye shall remember that my spirit will not always strive with man. Wherefore, if ye will sin until ye are fully ripe, ye shall be cut off from the presence of the Lord. These are my thoughts upon the land, which I shall give you for your inheritance. For it shall be a land choice above all other lands. And the Lord said, Go to work and build after the manner of barges, which ye have hitherto built. And it came to pass that this brother of Jared went to work, and also his brethren, and built barges after the manner which they had built according to the instructions of the Lord. They were small, and they were light upon the water, even like the lightness of a fowl upon the water. And they were built after a manner that they were exceedingly tight, even that they would hold water like a dish. And the bottom thereof was tight like a dish, and the sides were tight like a dish, and the ends were peaked, and the top was tight like a dish, and the length was the length of a tree, and the doors, when it was shut, was tight like a dish. And it came to pass that the brother of Jared cried unto the Lord, saying, O Lord, I have performed the work which thou hast commanded me, and I have made the barges according as thou hast directed me. And behold, O Lord, in them there is no light. Where shall we steer? Also we shall perish, for in them we cannot breathe, save it is the air which is in them. Therefore we shall perish. And the Lord said to the brother of Jared, Behold, thou shalt make a hole in the top, and also in the bottom. And when thou shalt suffer for air, thou shalt unstop the hole, and receive air. And if it so be that the water come in upon thee, behold, ye shall stop the hole. That is, that ye may not perish in the flood. And the brother of Jared did according to the Lord had commanded. And he cried again to the Lord, saying, O Lord, behold, I have done even as thou hast commanded me, and I have prepared the vessels for my people. And behold, there is no light in them. Behold, O Lord, wilt thou suffer that we shall cross this great water in darkness? And the Lord said to the brother of Jared, What will ye that I should do that ye may have light in your vessels? For behold, you cannot have windows for they will be dashed in pieces. Neither shall ye take fire with you, for ye shall not be by the light of fire. For behold, ye shall be as a whale in the midst of the sea, for the mountainous waves shall dash upon you. Nevertheless, I will bring you up again out of the depths of the sea, for the winds have gone forth out of my mouth, and also the rain and the floods have I sent forth. Behold, I prepare you against these things, for howbeit you cannot cross the great depth, save I prepare you against the waves of the sea, and the winds which have gone forth, and the floods which shall come. Therefore, what will ye that I should prepare for you, that ye may have light when ye are swallowed up in the depths of the sea? And it came to pass that the brother Jared, now the number of the vessels which had been prepared was 8. When he went forth to the mount which they called Mount Shelem, because the exceeding height, and smelted out of a rock 16 small stones. And they were white and clear, even as transparent glass. And he carried them in his hands upon the top of the mount, and cried again unto the Lord, saying, O Lord, thou hast said that we must be encompassed about by the floods. Now behold, O Lord, and do not be angry with thy servant because of his weakness before thee. For we know that thou art holy, and dwelleth in the heavens, and that we are unworthy before thee. Because of the fall, our natures have become evil continually. Nevertheless, O Lord, thou hast given us a commandment, that we must call upon thee, that from thee we may receive according to our desires.
Let's
Be-
hang on a second. I've got a question. I'm curious about glass. It said we can't make windows because they would be dashed in pieces. He didn't say what the windows were made of. He did use the term glass concerning the 16 round stones, and it must have been understood at that time what glass was, 2300 BC. It's interesting to look up the history of glass and what existed in 2300 BC, and it would be well, if anyone was curious, to do that. I'm not going to tell you what I have discovered, but luminescence, we know that there was a form of luminescence from ancient times, because iron or steel, when heated, you can heat it white hot, and it makes a nice glow. There have been bioluminescent creatures since who knows how long, lightning bugs and those little worms you see on the ground. Have you ever been out hiking or in your yard and you see these little worms about this long, and they're glowing in the dark? It's just magic. It's like being a child again and seeing something that just fascinates you. So electrical luminescence has existed from the beginning of time in the form of lightning, heating the air to the point that the air flashes extremely brightly. And then, of course, there was Edison, 150 years or so ago, invented the light bulb, and he experimented with 2,000 types of glowing filaments made from everything from carbonized horsehair to can't think of the metal that's currently in a light bulb filament. Everybody knows what it is. Huh? Tungsten, of course, yes. Tungsten alloy. Pure tungsten would just sag, and so it has to be alloyed with something that keeps it from sagging when it's incandescent. And then with, might have been with Tesla, was an early experimenter with luminescent gases in what we have now for fluorescent tubes. And now we have light-emitting diodes and liquid crystal displays. So the chemistry and physics for having a luminescent solid object has always existed. And of course, God always knows what it is, but there doesn't seem to have been a power source for these 16 small smooth stones. We don't know if there was a battery or not. We don't know what they might have been irradiated with to make them luminescent, but it just fascinates me. And you can buy artificial luminescent rocks, you can look that up. Just Google luminescent rocks, and you can buy them. You can put them in your aquarium. You can put them in your driveway, and they're still kind of magic, the magic feeling you get when you see something under a black light. So they glow with kind of that black light effect. But the glass fascinates me because if there was a glass technology back then, I don't think it was universally known, but it was universally understood here because people understood what glass was. So anyway, would you like to continue?
I feel like what a miracle it is we have light today. That's a miracle that we have. God has given man. Man has, to be able to. Ben Franklin wanted to discover electricity, and failed many times, but he finally got there, and because God gave him the desire and the fortitude to continue until it was discovered. And like you say, like what we have today in so many ways. Why should we say that God can't do it back then of giving light? And the faith that this brother of Jared had, that if he was to give him these translucent stones that he prepared, Lord, can you give us light in these stones? He had faith.
Yes, and if you look up there where you were reading, it was verse 59, God asked him, therefore, what will ye that I should prepare for you, that ye might have light when you're swallowed up in the depths of the sea? Now remember, this is an abridged edition, so we don't know about the conversations and instructions that took place between the 59th and the 60th verse. Might have been quite a long list of instructions, might have been quite technical, because in verse 60 it says, it came to pass that the brother Jared went forth into the mountain, which they called the Mount Sharon because of its exceeding height, and did molten out of a rock 16 small stones. Now, it's not likely, I know we're spending a little time speculating here, but how likely was it that he knew the technology of making iridescent stones? So there's a lot that transpired in there. This is abridged, and of course we can only speculate, which is not always healthy. We have 2 minutes. Let's fill it up with speculation or commentary. Steve, you looked like you were thinking about something. Oh, okay. We don't. Men don't.
I will say that you were talking about faith. The guy gets in the boat that's all like a dish, all covered up, and the Lord tells him, get in there, and he's going to end up where he wants him to end up. I think that takes a lot of faith.
to go out in the ocean and expect to be someplace else.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, well, we're at the ending. Oh, yes, please. We'll get you a mic.
No, you have to.
Yeah, those are the rules.
So we can hear.
Well, this is just a question I have when I've read this before. The Tower of Babel, God stopped that. He put an end to it. And I wonder what's changed his mind about us going into space. Just a thought. I need to ask God, I guess.
Well, that's interesting. We're at the end of the hour. So we're looking forward to Steve's sermon. We're going to be expectantly looking forward to Steve's sermon, expectantly and prayerfully. And let's read at least through the 3rd chapter of the book of Ether for next week. And that's kind of a, that's kind of like saying, here's a big banquet. Just take a little bitty plate and you can only have one serving. So we're not on a diet. Here's the whole banquet. So read all you want, but we're going to try to get through the 3rd chapter and maybe further next week. Well, thank you so much.